Yo,
Yo,
yo, yo, yo.
yo, yo.
We made, we made it. I can hardly believe it. We made it.
Yeah, welcome. You guys made it too. Welcome. And if you haven't made it, you haven't heard me say welcome. So you know who I'm talking to. You.
Yeah,
That's right.
you.
You. Zay. And August and Mianglios. And then
And
whoever else is here in
Saule.
Stockton. Oh yeah, and Saule.
And
Yep.
Hero.
Hero. Oh my gosh. Hey. Long time no see. I'm happy you're here.
Salutations.
Salutations. I haven't
Welcome
heard
to
people
the
say that in a
Pain
long
Butt
time.
Pain Sandwich.
That's not what we're doing here today. We're doing the
What?
we're doing
Ryan,
the
we talked about this.
we're doing today we're doing the don't worry don't sandwich.
The don't worry, don't.
That's right. Don't worry
Does
don't
that mean
sandwich.
don't worry? Does
Or
that
it's
mean
the
worry?
it's just you don't worry and then you just don't
Oh,
anything.
just don't.
Don't
Yeah,
period.
just
Or it's a
don't.
worry don't worry sandwich if you'd rather that, but I mean I guess that's kind of what we're doing here. It's a worry don't worry sandwich. The pain but pain sandwich is maybe something I might prescribe on another day, but today we're not worrying about it.
Today, don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess today would be the good day to prescribe the pain but pain sandwich because then I could just say don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I don't know. Anyways, instructions unclear. I don't everything. I've
Don't
don'ted everything. All right,
Good
and
job.
Okay, now
perfect.
August do some stuff for me. How did it go? How was your don'ting?
Did
Did
you?
did you feel anything or did you not feel anything? How do you feel about it afterwards? Um, welcome by the way. This is Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about problems and the struggles of life and the things you guys are going through. Feel free to send in a topic to don'tworrywednesday.com. We'd be more than happy to do our best to tackle them, but more so just be a friend and walk beside you, give some in experiences out of our own lives and some perspectives. A lot of times you guys know how to solve them, solve your own issues, but having a little bit of encouragement or just a second perspective can be really helpful. So that's what we're here to do. We are not professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines, but we can give you our best as friends and people who have lived life long enough to have experienced a few things and share from that wealth. Also, chat is here to do the same. And so don't be afraid to list your biggest worry. The chat here has been beautifully kind and wonderful and merciful, and no one's ever really said or called anybody out for anything ever. So, yeah, this is a very safe place to be and one that just wants to help no matter what you're going through. Yeah. So, and feel free to always feel free to write in the chat anything you want for advice. And if you have a disagreement with us, that's totally fine. Give your perspective on that as well, because the more perspective we have, the more clarity we have, the better. So, much appreciated. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, out of all that out of the way, how are you doing, Joe? And how are you doing, chat?
I'm doing great. The chat looks really good.
Yeah. Except for
Zay apparently has us in the left ear, and the youth sermon is in the right ear.
Oh, okay. Tell us how many times we overlap our words, or yeah.
You know, I'm tempted to say what's in your right ear that's the wrong ear. You should put Don't Worry Wednesday in both ears.
That's right. I gave you 2 ears for a reason. That's right.
But
To listen to Don't Worry Wednesday.
Dream, right?
In both.
Nothing against youth sermons.
No,
Hey,
that's awesome.
I'm sure they're good. Yes.
I think that's a great thing to be listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was driving a lot, I would listen to lots of different sermons and talks on all sorts of theology and other stuff as well, like psychology and so on. So I got a lot out of it. I would definitely encourage that. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. August, I'm glad you're don'ting.
I'm doing very well today. Very,
Very
very
good.
minimal don'ting through, though, since the heart is in the way.
You have a lot of doing.
I have a
You
lot of doing. Okay. Man,
had
that
a lot
stinking
of
heart.
doing. Yeah,
Oh, had.
if the heart's in your way, you can go look over at the chat
Oh, and you can see
on.
it there. Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry that the chat looks funky. I don't know how to solve that issue right now. But
Yeah, the
it's
chat
not the
looks
most
weird.
ugly thing ever. It's just not pretty. At least it's visible. At least you
Yeah,
can
it's
see it.
visible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it says all messages you send will appear publicly.
Ooh, snap. That's a warning. But don't
Yeah.
worry. It's Wednesday.
Don't worry. Don't
Mhm.
worry about it. It's gonna be fine. You just put whatever you want.
Oh, you're running slides for it. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Well then, how about we get to doing a topic?
We totally could do that.
We totally can do that.
I'd
Let's do
run
it.
slides, but I just hate running.
Mm-hmm. Um, Although running up slides was a thing that I used to do when I was a kid, and that was fun.
Hey,
But I
you're
was,
right. You're
yeah,
right.
you get in trouble for doing it if you're on a public playground. But
Yeah.
yeah, like with other kids.
And running slides is probably better than sliding runs.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. If you came to the same conclusion of what that sentence means as my head did, definitely. Definitely.
Oh
100%.
no.
Any day of the week. Okay. Well, Myonglios, are you with us here? I know that you were here at the very beginning before we started.
Yeah,
started
Maglio said I will be busy again tonight, but with
Oh.
university events and stuff. But I hope
Oh,
you all have a
okay.
wonderful stream.
Okay. Totally fair. Hope you have an awesome time with all of that, Myonglios. And
Yes.
then we'll move on to one of these next ones. We've got two. So feel free to put your topic in the don'tworrywednesday.com place where all the don'tworrywednesday.com topics can go and be among each other and have a nice time mingling and sorting out their stuff and getting organized for us to read them, to sort them out for you. And then we can have more topics. But right now we only have two we can do. So keep that in mind.
3.
Oh, 3. Hold on. I think I just have to refresh. Reload.
Well, because we got Nihilus's from like the 15th or whatever. It's just really old.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Nihilus said they want to be here, it's like, well, we could.
Yeah.
It's
Fair
been
enough.
a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talked to him since, and he said, yeah, you can just delete that. So
we can delete it.
Yeah, he said don't worry about it, but we just ended up keeping it on there, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten about it.
Okay, cool. Me too. So we've got 2 of these. They both have no names, is that correct? No, they're both anonymous.
They're both anonymous, and one anonymous wants to be here when we do the topic.
Oh, well, that's gonna be difficult. One of them wants to be here. Okay. How would... Okay. I guess the only way to do that is announce that we're going to do it on a specific day and hope that they see it and then do it on that day and say, we did our best. Otherwise, let's just do it. Right. Because if they see that, then they're going to see this, us announcing it. So, yeah. Okay, that makes sense, right? Let's just do it. Let's get that one going first here. How's that sound?
Well, there's one that's urgent. The no preference one is urgent.
There's no thing that tells me it's urgent. Oh, there it is. Never mind. There is a check mark. There we go. Cool. Well, I'll do that one then.
All right.
I'm sure we'll get to both of them today. Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why this one's urgent. Okay. I'll work on throwing this on the screen for you guys. And you guys can feel free to read along if you so wish. If you don't wish to, you don't have to. But sometimes it's easier to understand things that are lengthy when you read along. So here you are. You can feel free to read along or not. This is from Anonymous, and it's titled Keeping My Family Together, and it reads as follows. It feels like I have to be the grown-up in my family. I'm the middle child with a lot of middle child energy, and the past few weeks has been hard. My dad's not fully understanding things, and my younger sibling is getting hurt and choosing to stay hurt and bitter about the things my dad thinks, which is frustrating my mom. The past few weeks, the word divorce has been used more than I've ever heard and in order to keep my family together, I'm exhausting myself to keep the peace. Not showing the pain I'm in and being the brave and strong one when I'm breaking inside. I feel like I have to keep doing this and stretching myself thin to keep my family together in this tough time, and I'm just exhausted. And no one seems to even realize. From Anonymous. Yeah, wow. That's really rough. Did I miss any lines in there? I hope I didn't. Okay, good.
You did good.
Great. Yeah, that's a really tough position to be in, and obviously there's going to be some good stuff in the chat, I'm sure. I think growing up in a mixed family, you could say, I had times where we were he had a father and a mother. I had times where I was with a single parent. There were times where I was going back and forth between parents. There was times where I had stepdads, times where I didn't, times after divorce of stepdads. I was all over the place with my experiences, and and so I have a lot to say on that department, I suppose, of my experience, but I also recognize not everybody's experience is the same. But as the middle child, or any child, trying to bear all of this yourself and feeling like no one else is, even your parents, I suppose, aren't putting any effort in to keep things together. That's a very, very intense and how would I say this? It's a position where I think anybody in the world putting themselves in that position would feel overwhelmed and exhausted. Absolutely. So, yeah. No, I feel for you. This is a really hard experience, I'm sure. So hopefully we can do it justice. Hopefully we can, I'm sure we can't do it justice, but hopefully we can say something that helps ease and lighten the burden, and also help you find the best outcome with whatever happens. That with whatever happens, things will be the best they can be for you and for your family. But we'll give it our best, and obviously we only have so much we can do since our hands aren't in it. All we can do is give some words, and that makes it tough, because there are times where I wish I could just solve things I literally have no business in. And yeah, and I think we all do, but this is one of those times. It's like, I can't do anything for you other than give you some words, and the rest is on you. And I hope that whatever we say can make a difference, but really it's up to everyone. So yeah, with that said, I still hope for the very best, and I hope that we can supply something meaningful to you, if nothing but to ease some of the tension that you're experiencing, and lift some of the burden up so you can keep trudging forward in life, whatever that might mean, or whatever that might be. But with that all said, I'm going to step out of the way and give it over to Joe and give you his words of wisdom. So take it away, Joe.
Hey, thanks. Looks like the topic
is I'm so sorry.
Still up there.
Yeah, like, yeah. You know what?
I kept looking over there. I was like...
they needed a time. They needed the time with those words. So that's I would say I would blame myself, but I'm choosing not to because I don't want
Okay.
to.
Don't blame yourself.
Yeah, I'm
Just
definitely at fault, but I don't.
just
It's
take
not me.
responsibility.
I'll take I'll take the responsibility for this right now. It's not my fault. Okay, great. That felt good. All right.
Cats, you're in a
No,
different
it's totally
time
my fault.
zone and failed 2 weeks in a row. Hey, that's okay. I failed lots of weeks in a row. You're not canceled.
Me too.
Ryan apparently did just not fail to put the talking screen on.
Oh, I did, but I've decided.
Oh,
As
you've decided.
as the one that's overseeing where the responsibility should go and who's at fault, since I'm taking full responsibility, I'm just letting myself off the hook and just telling myself like, nah, don't worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Let yourself off the hook. Don't be a hooker.
Thank you. What? I will. I will do that. What? Wow. Wow.
Hey.
I like that. That one would work really well for this other topic. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, go on. It's all yours.
All right.
Sorry about the hold up.
You're fine. You're fine. Anonymous, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this. This is tough. But Neonsai says in the chat, it's completely out of your control to stop your parents from choosing to divorce. It's completely their choice. You cannot control what other people choose to do or think, and that's absolutely true. You cannot choose for anybody. You know, there are some things that are just beyond your control. Now, I applaud your effort and I applaud your heart and the fact that you want to keep peace in your family, the fact that you want to, make sure everything stays together and runs smoothly and all this kind of stuff. Like I applaud you for this because, man, that to have more people with that in their mind of peacemaking and of hey, let's figure this out, let's get together, let's get along, all that like that. That's a huge role that it can really hold a lot of things together, whether it's in a family or in a workplace or anywhere. Like I remember when when my older brother was in preschool, he got to be known as an aggressive peacemaker.
Right.
So if he would see people like fighting, and in the corner of my eye, I'm seeing all these hearts. Like there's just hearts flying in the chat like crazy. I don't know who that is, but I appreciate you for doing that. Appreciate the hearts. So anyway, he was an aggressive peacemaker. And what that meant was anytime people weren't getting along or they were fighting or whatever, he would get himself in there and try to make peace and try to get everybody getting along again, right? And that's just part of who he is. He's that kind of person where he's like, look, if you're not getting along, there's something that's stupid that's happening. Let's figure it out and let's get past it, right? But it sounds to me like there's a whole lot of misunderstanding going on in your situation, Anonymous. You've got a younger sibling who's getting hurt, and choosing to stay hurt and bitter about the things your dad thinks, which is frustrating your mom. So there's all kinds of stuff. So you have a younger sibling who's choosing to stay hurt. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we don't choose to stay hurt. Sometimes we're just hurt for a while, right? And eventually, in the end, we figure out, yeah, it was a choice to stay hurt about something or to continue to be hurt. But honestly, sometimes things just hurt for a while. And so this might be beyond your younger siblings' control as well. So this might be something that they're dealing with that they have to work through. And so it might require a little bit of patience for all of us. Now, the word divorce getting thrown around a bunch, I'm sorry. Sometimes that happens. That's really tough. Hey, Kendra.
Hi, Kendra.
Welcome. It's good to see you. I know that can be really, really unsettling, when divorce is threatened or when divorce is being talked about a lot or whatever, it can be really difficult to deal with. Now, Ryan will have a little bit of different perspective from me, whereas, he grew up in a family where there was divorce. I did not, but I, uh, as an adult now, I've experienced divorce as, being married and then divorcing my ex-wife now. And then seeing how my kids had to handle that. And that was really tough. It was tough on them and it was really tough on me to see them go through that. And so I don't know if the word divorce is being thrown around, I'm guessing there's more to it than you see as a child in the situation. A lot of times, I mean, my kids, they didn't know all of the stuff that's happened. They don't know, and they probably won't know for a long time about all the stuff that was happening in the background, all kinds of crazy, but, when it's a lot more complicated than just maybe something somebody's been saying or somebody getting hurt and all this kind of stuff. Um, Interesting. So now we have President Donald John Trump saying snipers worry me.
Mm.
I don't know how President Trump made it onto our live stream.
I doubt he did. But if he did, what he said is fair.
Hey,
Hmm.
apparently it's illegal to worry on Wednesdays, I was told.
That's right. So
Yeah.
if they're worrying you, it makes sense, but just let it go.
Yeah, just don't worry about it today
Mhm.
because it's Wednesday.
Right.
Change that law. Oh my goodness. So yeah, well, Anonymous, I applaud you again. I applaud you for your effort. I applaud you for your desire to want to keep things together. And I also want you to know that whatever happens in this, it's not your fault. Like if things fall apart, it's not because you didn't do a good enough job keeping it together.
Hmm.
This is simply a matter, just like Neonsai said, it's not within your control. There are things happening that are beyond your control, and sometimes, as difficult as it is, we have to relinquish our idea of control and allow things to happen, allow things to play out, and allow ourselves to just be able to go with it and ride it out no matter how difficult it can be, because it can be totally, totally difficult. And again, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for this whole situation. It's not easy, and man, but hopefully we can offer you some comfort to know that this isn't your responsibility to fix it. It's not your responsibility to hold everything together. It's not up to you to keep everything together. And whatever happens as a result, if something, well, if the worst happens, it's not because you didn't try hard enough. If things go well, it very well could be because you've been trying and because you've worked. But at the same time, there's more at play than just your efforts. And so love them, care about them, be kind to them, but understand that it's not necessarily up to you to fix it. Okay? So with that, that's about all I have to say at the moment. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and let him talk from his perspective, because his perspective is definitely different than mine. So, Ryan, it is
I don't
all
know.
yours, my friend.
Thank you. I'm not sure that it's too different, but probably some of the stuff I'll reiterate because I
Oh,
have the same opinion, but
yeah.
yeah, that's
And
okay.
thank you, Neon Side. That's
Yeah,
absolutely true too. Sometimes two people separating is the best thing they can do for themselves and everybody else.
it's true. There are times where that's
It's
the
true.
case. Even
Mm-hmm.
if it feels, even if it causes a lot of trouble at first, the pain at first is a lot less than the total pain that accumulates over the decades. But yeah. Um, so I'm gonna give it my best. You know, one of the things I think about when you're trying to solve a problem, whether it's with you or with your family members or between family members, but you're not necessarily the one at fault, whatever it is, right? There's this sense of communication that you want to open up and this sense of vulnerability. And it's like if people could just be honest and talk about things with each other, it would work out. And the problem is that's not true when people do not have humility.
Mm.
It's only true if you have humility, and that's the hard line, and that's a very hard line to cross for people, because if you don't have the humility to admit that your thoughts and concerns might not be correct, or the being willing to have the humility to let go of wrongdoings and that people have hurt you, or the humility to recognize that you're being selfish and just want someone to apologize for you and like own up to their mistakes or whatever, and you know that they're never going to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things they require humility to notice and then counter and act against. So even if you open up communications between people, like if you manage to get your parents in a room where they're having like an intimate conversation that's really open and like sincere, and they're talking out all of their issues and finally like, you know, going through the thick of it in order to get things fixed. Um, if just one of them doesn't have the humility necessary for that conversation, it'll never go the way you want it to. And that's really sad, but it's the truth. It'll
Mm-hmm.
never go the good way because one of them will always feel like the other one hurt them more and they need to, you know, they need vindication or they need this thing or that thing. And it's not good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we aren't perfect and we have to deal with that. We have to recognize that in ourselves. We have to recognize that in each other and be merciful and let go of that. Be forgiving and so on. But if you're not, then your relationship can't go into those deeper levels where you can actually solve those deep problems.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is to say, ultimately, sort of what everybody else has said, and that is it's not up to you. But let me try to explain why it's not up to you. It is up to you. It's not like it's not up to you, but here's the thing. Do you make a difference? The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let anyone tell you that you can't make a difference in other people's lives or you can't make a difference in people's decisions or choices in life and so on and so forth. You can make a difference. You can change people's minds. But the thing is, you can't fully control anybody. You don't want to. Part of the beauty of life is that freedom of will. And part of the beauty of life is the ability to love and to triumph over evil and to gain virtue and all of these kinds of things, but that all relies on the individual. And so the recognition of that is important. And all I'm trying to say is it's good to try to do what you can, but never take ownership of other people's choices so that you put yourself in a position where you are beating yourself over something you have nothing to do with. Because you have nothing to do with the pride in one of your parents or both of your parents' heart. You have nothing to do with that. Because that is not your fault. certainly. And some cases I wouldn't even say it's their fault. Some cases I would, you know. But the point is, I commend you for trying, and I like that you want to try to get the best out of life and for the people that you love, you know, that are important in your life. You want to get the very best for them. And to you, that might be keeping the family together from your perspective, which in general is correct. I'm not going to disagree with that. Statistics point that families that stay together tend to raise kids that are more virtuous and get higher paying jobs and whatever, right? I mean, there are statistics that point in that direction, but that doesn't mean that's always what's best, but it is a true statistic. And so your ideal of wanting everything to stay together is a good ideal. But I think there are other ideals that might trump it. Sorry, that's the word. So whatever. Anyways, there are other ideals in life, like, I don't know, just the well-being of one person's health and peace of mind and just their ability to be good. And sometimes we put each other in positions where we've programmed each other and our habits to just be terrible people, and we need to get away from those people so we can get those habits out of us. That can be a thing, and there's so much more to it than just that. I mean, there can be literal mental conditions that they have that might be causing a lot of strain, and they're unable to be addressed, and the person is legitimately better living on their own than they are with somebody else. And no one would have known that from the beginning, right? But you discover these things as you go forward, and that's just how things work out sometimes. And my point is, I also need you in this to be humble and recognize that your way and what you can perceive and what you can know from where you are, you have to be humble enough to recognize, in the end of all things, however all things work out, you don't know what's best. You can only try to make the best with what you have in the moment and try to steer things in the right direction. But some humility can go a really long way in easing some of this exhaustion you have. And what do I mean by that? To some degree, you have to try to steer things right. And then to another degree, you have to admit enough that you don't always know what's going to be the best, and that good can be made of all things, no matter what happens. And that humility is required of you. And then lastly, above both of those things, you have to have the humility to recognize whatever happens is out of your control, because you don't have full control over anything. And it could be, even if it's not what you wanted, it could be the best thing that ever happened to you and your family ever. And I know that that's hard to take in, because it's like, how could it be this, that, the other thing? And it's like, fair. Okay. But to recognize that just because you want something one way, just because you want it that way, doesn't mean it is the best. Just because you think that's the best doesn't mean it's the best. And I'm not trying to hit you hard and say you're wrong, because you could be right. But my point is, it brings a lot of peace of mind and helps you push through and not be so exhausted if you recognize, no matter how this turns out, I can only make it the best I can make it with whatever I'm given. That's all I can do. So I need to let go and release control and not get upset when things are out of my control. I need to just let it go. And there's great peace of mind in it. And it's not like I stopped caring, therefore I am at peace. It's more like I recognize that whatever happens, good can come out of it. And that's good enough. Because in life, there are going to be pains and struggles, just like this, throughout the whole thing. Not constant, but things here and there are going to be like this. Might be different scenario, different weights of emotional pain, but there are going to be many times in life where things aren't how you want them to be. You're going to be struggling to get them to what you believe is right, and you're going to fail. And you're going to recognize somewhere else down the line that you're thankful that they failed, because it was impossible for you to see the beauty and the light and the good that was around the corner of failure. And so recognizing that and having the humility to embrace that truth, you don't know, and that's okay, really eases up the tension, because then when you try hard, it doesn't matter if you succeed or if you fail. The point is you're trying to make the best with what you like, the best of it that you can. And that's the important thing. You're in the moment being good and holy and perfect and gracious and whatever. You are in the moment being heavily virtuous. You are the one taking the brunt. You are the one doing the heavy lifting. You are whatever it is, right? You're doing great. That's really what matters. Because you can't determine the outcome. All you can do is determine what you're doing at this moment. And if you're doing what you can, leave the rest up to God, so to speak. If you don't believe in God, that's fine, but leave the rest up to however it plans out, because the reality is you don't have control, but you're going to have to contest with that. And if you think, and if you go down the road with that, if you are in contest with control over all of these aspects of your life that other people are also in, and you don't have control over them, if you're contesting that, you will always end up feeling miserable and feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, because the reality is you can't control it, right? So that's my point. Isn't to hammer down on you and make things feel hopeless. My hope is that you can find the humility to be at peace with whatever happens, because you know that your intentions were good and you did your best, and whatever happens, good can come from it. And you can continue to be a good person regardless of whatever happens. And your parents can become better people regardless of what happens. And your siblings can learn and grow from this experience, whatever happens. That is meant to uplift you, okay? And I hope it does. And I hope you really soak that in, so that whatever happens, you recognize the truth is there's more good to come. Even if this thing happened that didn't feel very good. This thing happened that isn't the way you wanted it. And I know that I'm putting it out like, just because that's what you want, blah, 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 don't be a crybaby. To some degree, a little bit I am. But that's only to help you recognize the humility of, like, you don't need it to be what you want for life to be good. In fact, most of the time, the best things come out of when we just a slew of things that we never wanted. We just ended up there and we're like, wow, I wouldn't have planned this out, but here I am. I've got awesome friends because of this.
It's true. It's true. And it's funny because like we don't get what we want all the time. And in fact, if I'd gotten everything I ever wanted, my life would be a mess.
Oh yeah, mine too. That's absolutely true.
Because I don't always want the best things, right?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that like you wanting to hold your family together is definitely admirable, and that's a good thing to want.
Thing. Yes.
And that's okay. But sometimes we don't get what we want, but I love what you're saying, Ryan, that good grows out of these things. Good comes from, you know, sometimes getting what not what we want. Man, I'm having trouble speaking today, apparently.
Yeah, me too. Not
It's
getting
all
what we
right.
want. Yeah.
Not getting what we want or getting what we don't want or whatever, right? And yeah, that can lead to a lot of good things that we never imagined happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, well said. Absolutely.
You said it better. I just reiterated what you said
I
in
think the
worse
way
words.
you said it made more was like, what's the word? More comprehensible than the way I was saying it. I couldn't find the right words to make it comprehensible. I think you did a better job. But anyways,
I got what you were. Yeah, I was
yeah,
picking up what you were laying down. That's all
yeah.
good.
My point is, again, I want you to come out of this, no matter what happens, recognizing what you're doing is admirable, and you're fighting the good fight, and that's building you to be an awesome person, and just keep doing that, and that's building your family to be better family, and keep doing that, but also relinquish control so that you can allow the good that can happen, because we don't always know. And my point isn't to say that, hey, they should get divorced. Definitely not. I would never recommend that. Especially because I'm not there in it to even make any such claim. Absolutely not.
Right. And if divorce is avoidable, it should be avoided.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. So my point is just to say, ease up a little bit. Don't worry about trying to get everything nice and tidy, because if you let go of the reins and let things lie where they lie and make good with that, that's going to be a lot more advantageous for you than trying to control everything that's out of your control to make it lie where you want it to lie, because that's gonna be hell. Legitimately.
Well, and it's not like we just should say, well, c'est la vie, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So like, hey, whatever, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm not going to try, like that's the wrong approach as well, because then you're going to like torment yourself in the future with wondering, well, maybe I could have done something. What if I'd have tried this, or what if I'd have tried that? Maybe it wouldn't have ended up this way, because there is truth in that. And we do influence our lives, and we influence the way the world is. I mean, the way the world is now is a result of people doing things and influencing it. All the stuff that we have was invented by somebody who built off of somebody else's invention, who, like all these things were created because people took initiative to do something, and they didn't just sit back and say, well, whatever, life's just going to happen the way it does. But we have to always remember that even though we work, and even though we try, and even though we labor toward things, and even, all of that stuff considered, we still aren't fully in control of what happens. I've started numerous businesses, and I've worked hard in every single one of them, and they've not all succeeded. But they've all been educational experiences. They've all been times where, I've either met key people to, continue on in my life, whatever, like all of these experiences have been beneficial. Now, I couldn't necessarily control it. I could just do my part. And there's this balancing act that you learn over time where it's like, okay, I'm going to put my all the effort I have into this within reason, right? But then I still have to understand, maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe I don't. Maybe it turns out not how I want, right? And that's okay. It's okay. And even if you work really hard and things don't turn out the way you want them to, you still worked hard, And in the back of your mind, you're like, you know what? I left it all out there. I left it all out on the field. I tried my hardest. And that forms self-respect. There are things that builds in you that are priceless. So I would encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, to continue. I mean, if you're completely exhausting yourself, take an inventory of things, like, okay, what am I doing? Are these things that I can actually influence? What things can I influence? And then you can direct your efforts toward the things that you can have some control or some influence in.
Mm-hmm.
We drive ourselves crazy when we're working and we're worrying and we're all discombobulated about something that we have no influence in whatsoever. Right? We drive ourselves crazy with that. And that's why, one of the reasons why I don't watch the news is because I have no control over most of the situations that happen in the news. A lot of times, it's a political year, right? So like my one little bit of influence is how I vote.
Mm-hmm.
And that even doesn't seem like it's that influential. It's like one vote from one dude in Michigan, right? Like, but we all do it so that it can build up and, whatever, right? Because if everybody just said, well, voting isn't worth it because I can't, my one vote doesn't matter, then nobody would vote and there wouldn't be an election. Like, if there was one person who voted, that would be the winning vote, right? So, but most of the stuff that's on the news is stuff that I cannot control at all and I have no influence with whatsoever. And so why do I concern myself with it? I try not to. And so if you're going to work in this situation, which I say, hey, keep trying to hold things together. Keep trying to be an encouragement to your family members because that's absolutely worthwhile. Absolutely. But think through, okay, these are things that I have control over. These are things that I don't. Like Neonce said, you don't have control whether or not people get divorced or stay married. You don't have control over that. But maybe you can have some influence with one of your siblings or with your parents and help them have a better day. Maybe you can encourage them and help them feel better with whatever situation's going on. Maybe you can speak reason into an unreasonable conflict when two people are fighting or something and everything's going off the rails and they're fighting over nonsense. Maybe you can be a voice of reason and bring things back to more logical and less emotional, hijacking. So those are some things that maybe you can have more influence with, but you can always be an encourager and you can always love and let them know that you love them. But there's no sense in stressing yourself out over things that you can't control. Because then we just drive ourselves crazy when we do that. Sorry, Ryan, I totally hijacked it from you.
No.
Stole it.
No, it's great.
I did.
No complaints whatsoever.
It might have been great, but I still stole it.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm in agreement with Joe, and our point isn't to hit you on the head and say, hey, stop trying to control things. This isn't your business. It is your business. And I respect wanting to try to push things in a direction. It's good. It's a good thing. We're just trying to prepare you for reality, if anything, and that you have to contest with reality and that you have to come to terms with reality. And reality is there are many things that aren't, there are many possibilities that are really good if you let them be, even if they're not what you wanted. And really, it's up to you to distinguish how you're going to treat these things, however they unfold. And if you can make a decision that they make, you can make it for yourself a living hell and just I hate life and blah blah blah. Or they might make a decision and you don't like it, but you can come to terms with it and just be like, I'm going to make the best of it. And you find yourself in a position where life is awesome and great and you're happy, right? So the one thing that you do have some control over is how you perceive things. And so I suppose in the end what we're trying to do is help you perceive things in a way that recognize good can come from any outcome, but however this unfolds. So don't push yourself so hard that you can't even control the things in your life that you should be controlling. Like your wellness, your mental clarity, your I don't know how old you are, but like if you're in school, your homework and stuff like that. If you're in if you're working, if you're an adult, then your workplace, able to give to your clients and to your coworkers the full of yourself, and not so wrapped up that you're like dazing out and can't perform, right? All of these things, there are so many things in the world that are currently requiring you to give yourself to them. And if you pour yourself over stuff that, if you, I don't know, I think you get what I'm saying. Just make sure that you're able to do the things that are good and healthy. Don't overdo it, and recognize that there's good in all of these things. And that life goes on, and it's not bad. There are outcomes in life that we don't get to choose. And you know what? They might stay together. Maybe you relinquish all control and you're like, you know what? They're going to decide whatever they decide. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be my best, and I'm going to support them whatever they decide. And by support them with whatever they decide, I mean I'm going to give them the good of myself. I'm going to be kind to them, even if I don't like what they're doing. And then they decide to stay together. And then that's great. And that's happy. Or maybe they decide together and it's just rough for a really long time. Or maybe they decide to split and it's happy. Or they decide to split and it's rough for a really long time. Right? You can change people. You can influence people. You absolutely can. And I admire you for trying. And I hope you continue to try. But you don't have to try so hard that you lose who you are. And that you're unable to give yourself to anything because you're completely dry and worn out and exhausted. So your family's going to want to see you healthy and happy. And if you can't give them happy and healthy, then you're not really giving them much. So take on what you can chew. Don't take on more than that. And let the dice fall where they do, okay? And that's the best advice I can. I know that's really hard to navigate. It's like, how do I balance, how do I do that balancing act? And like, I don't know, man, I just like, good luck, but like, try. That's all I got.
Well, and one of the things that you said, Ryan, that was so pertinent, I think, to the situation is that, a lot of things are a matter of our own perspective.
Sure.
So, like we can, because of our thinking, we can make a heaven out of hell or a hell out of heaven. Now, what does that mean, right? Did you use those exact words? I know you meant
No, I was directing.
hell.
I was kind of I was citing them without using them.
Gotcha. Yeah, because everything can be great, and all you look around and everything's wonderful, and then because of the way we think, because of our perspective, we can make it a big pile of crap. even if everything's wonderful. Or everything can be falling apart all around us and be crazy and terrible, but our perspective might make that a good thing because we might just sail through it. We might latch on to some positive in there and be like, oh, this is just a necessary thing that has to happen, and we're going to move through it. And on the other side, this are going to be great. Or at least I can. It reminds me of a story. I remember one time I was at a friend's house and I had a flat tire. And apparently it was an old tire, and apparently it was a damaged tire. And I didn't realize this at the time. But so we're out there, we're just like, oh yeah, hey man, you got an air compressor or something? And he's like, yeah, we'll just hook it up, pump up your tire and then you can be on your way. Well, we're pumping up the tire, and like partway through blowing the tire up, it explodes. Just like blows out the side, just boom, and like just explode, right? And in that very moment, I all I said was, well, I guess that answers that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm driving on a spare, right? Like, okay, so that happened, right? But I didn't let myself get all freaked out or like, oh my gosh, now my tire's blown out. It's like, there's an answer to this. I put the spare tire on and I drive home, and then I go to the tire shop and I buy a new tire. I know it's going to cost me some money, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But, it was a moment where everything could have gone crazy in my mind, but it didn't. Now, I've had other experiences that go the opposite way, where things aren't quite so bad or whatever, and I absolutely flip out about it, right? A lot of it has to do with where we're at the time. And right now, Anonymous, if you're exhausted, that can be dangerous because you might start beating yourself up. Your perspective might be skewed by exhaustion.
Well, yeah, I mean, talk about making a mountain out of a molehill. When you're exhausted, every molehill is a mountain.
Everything.
Because everything's so hard to climb.
When you're exhausted, when you're hangry, when, there's all kinds of influence. When we're not drinking enough water, when we have a deficiency in our vitamins, whatever it is, right? A lot of things can cause us to have a poor perspective on things. So, but just understand, if you can keep that little bit in your back pocket and in the back of your mind, just remember, hey, my thinking controls how I feel about this right now. Because it does. You can be going through the absolute crappiest situation and still have a good attitude. And still be hopeful about it and still be like, hey, we're gonna get through it. I'm gonna get through it. I have no other choice but to get through it.
And I think Anonymous knows this because they've been doing it.
Yeah.
But it can be exhausting.
Yep, it can be totally exhausting. And it's okay to vent. It's okay to, let some of this out. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to have emotions. These things are okay. But just remember, as you're going through this, it's going to turn out. And you're going to be okay. Life's going to go on. No matter what happens. You're going to find a way through it. And it's going to be fine. I think I can't remember who to quote. Saule says, being matter of fact about things that go wrong can be very helpful. It's a lot easier to do that when something mechanical that has gone wrong than something with a person. Yes, I understand. Yep. Well, because people aren't machines and people have a will. A machine is built to do a certain thing, and that's what it does. And if it's malfunctioning, you can narrow down and fix it, right? With a person, it's a lot more complicated. And because we have free will, that throws a whole monkey wrench into the deal, right? Like, it doesn't always go together.
But it is also helpful to just state reality and be like, this might turn out bad. And then just to come to terms with that and be like, if it does, then what? And it's like, okay, well, life will move forward. And I guess I'll just do my best to be a good person and help out and whatever, and just coming to terms with that is huge.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember who said it, but if you're going through hell, don't stop. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a place to stop and hang out
Mm-hmm.
in hell. Like you want to like keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there is something on the other side. Life's full of peaks and valleys, and we go through hard times and then we come out and we're in better times, right? It's a natural cycle of the way we live, right? But a lot of the bad time is due to our emotional response. And if we
Mm-hmm.
can figure out a new perspective so we can change our emotion at the time, then we've just beat half the battle.
Yeah.
Then it's just a matter of getting through the rest of the physical nonsense, whatever's going on around us. But we've already beaten it in our head, right? We've already won that battle. But you can totally do it, Anonymous. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to hurt. It's okay, all this stuff. These things happen. And I'm sorry because I
Mm-hmm.
know painful things really, really stink. But you can make it and it can be okay.
Yeah.
Saule says, recognize what has happened, acknowledge it, express your disappointment to get it out, and devise a way forward without treating people like machines. You can still use this process with people. Yeah, that's true. Recognize it, acknowledge it, express your disappointment. That's okay. And then devise a way forward. And if you plan for the worst that can happen, like what happens if this all falls apart and my parents get divorced and whatever, blah, 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 blah. What am I going to do then? Let's just say that's happening. And then you figure out, okay, what am I going to do in the worst possible outcome? Then you have a plan for the worst possible outcome. So you're ready. And then it's a matter of how can I make this better than the worst possible outcome? Sole says, that's my process, although I'm not always good at steps 3 and 4. Sometimes take step 3 too far, which stops me from getting to step 4. What's step 3? Step 3 was express your disappointment.
Ah. Yeah.
Yes. Express your disappointment too far. I understand. I've been there before too, my friend.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I think I mean I don't think I really have much more to say to this. Do you?
Nah.
All right. Well, we express our condolences. Is that the right word? I don't know. We hope that things work out for the best, whatever that best is. And I think you are admirable for working hard to try to keep things together, and I want you to keep doing that. That's awesome. And I appreciate that you're trying to do something good here and keep things together. You're an amazing person for doing that and for holding it all, even though no one else is recognizing it, is something that you should be proud of. Don't care about whether people recognize you or not. Just be happy that you are who you are, and don't worry about how other people, if they can recognize your pain and how hard you're trying or not. Don't worry about that. In fact, the less you worry about that, the easier it is to not be exhausted. And because if you do worry about those things, you will exhaust yourself because you're worrying about those things. Because then at some point your brain is gonna be like, how come no one sees me and no one's ever gonna see me? And then your brain spirals downwards and you get yourself in trouble. So anyways, my point is
because
yeah, go on.
It's because everybody's always thinking about themselves anyway.
Yeah, and everyone's thinking about
Most of
themselves.
the time,
We're
too busy thinking about ourselves to be worried about everybody else all the time, right?
Yeah. So you just keep trying, doing what you're doing, but let go of what you can't control. Let go of the future to some degree. Obviously, try to shoot for the best future, but recognize that whatever happens, whatever happens, you can make good of that. And yeah, that's about all we can suggest. And we sincerely hope that things work out well. however that is.
Yes, and we can remind you that you're awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it says, and again, anonymous, it says a lot about the type of person you are.
Yeah,
That you would
absolutely.
try, you know, like my brother, who is known as the aggressive peacemaker. I have a lot of respect for him and that.
Yeah.
And I think that's an awesome attribute. But yeah, sometimes it can make us get really exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can remember that you can't be in control all the time, that'll help you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you.
It is awesome. They are awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome.
And so are you, Ryan. You're pretty awesome.
Thank you, but you are even more awesome.
Let me tell you
Thank
how
you.
awesome I am. I'm clean.
Tell me. Oh, wow.
Which is a huge step forward from earlier.
Clean?
Yes.
Okay, we're talking
Physically.
Okay.
Look how clean I am.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
Clean.
Mm-hmm. Were you really covered in dirt earlier today? Were you working at the shop or something?
Yeah, these have been like the dirtiest, nastiest
Days of your entire life.
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
I believe that.
I can't remember being more worn out and sweaty and dirty.
Wow, that's wild.
In any
done a lot of different
job,
jobs.
I've had a lot of crazy jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I worked at the car wash, I got really dirty.
That's true, but you also got wet, and being wet is less dirty. Well, kind of. You were working with soap. That doesn't mean you were.
Yeah,
clean.
but I was getting car grime all over me.
Yeah,
I was in the tunnel where all that grime from the car goes somewhere.
Yeah, and some of it was on you.
Yep.
You're trudging around in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well,
still,
yeah.
Yeah. It's an accomplishment for me to not be dirty.
Mm-hmm. Good job, man. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. As Sawale said, please do go to don'tworrywednesday.com if you have any topics. We are happy to accept them and do our best to give our perspective and advice on. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for the last topic that you've given us. Really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you ready for doing the next one?
No, but we're gonna do it anyway. If you're
not ready, we can just hold on up on it.
I'll never be ready, but just go ahead.
Why not? You can't. You'll never be ready. What is this next one about? Okay, wow.
I mean, it's one of those things I can't control. You
you can't control your readiness.
Ready or not, here it comes. Right? Doesn't matter if I'm ready or not.
Okay. Well, then ready or not.
It's time for that next topic, and you're in charge.
What? Wait. Does that mean? What are the implications of that? It's like if you're
in charge.
It's the time for the next topic, but it is in my control. So that means we don't have to do it. I want to. I think this is a great topic. Go.
Well, then let's do it.
Fine. Well, then ready or not, here we go.
Yeah. As I said, you're in charge. Now I've said urine.
I was about to say hi. You said urine. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, here we are. Okay. So this one is also from an anonymous and is titled Gossip. And you can follow along and read with us if you so desire. If not, that's totally fine. It reads as follows. Someone is always complaining to me about someone else I really care about. I don't want to hear it, but I'm stuck hearing it no matter how often or how sternly I ask them to stop. And it's something I can't avoid, or someone I can't take out of my life. Oh, no, hold on. And it's something I can't avoid or someone I can take out of my life. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. I think they meant to say someone I can't take out of my life.
Right.
Okay,
Hello, Baka. Yeah.
Hey, Baka.
It's something. It's funny. This is all one big sentence.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, I'm going to reread it with the... Okay. Someone is always complaining to me about someone else I really care about, and I don't want to hear it, but I'm stuck here. I'm stuck hearing it no matter how often I sternly ask them to stop. And it's something I can't avoid or someone I can't take out of my life. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. From Anonymous.
Hmm.
All right, got it. Very, very fair and honestly relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Not in my current life. Luckily, there really aren't people that are doing that to me anymore. But I've been there before, and I understand your issue with it. And I'm glad you have an issue with it. I'm glad that you asked them to stop. I think that's really great.
Mm-hmm.
This is an issue I know that my mom says that with some of her friends she has, and she tries her best to have them stop, and they usually do for a time, but then they'll go and do it again, and it's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll have to stop them again. But this is a great topic. Hopefully we can give you something to help make the scenario better. But we recognize that, well, again, you can't control anybody, but you can at least be a good influence. So this might require some long-term, this might require long-term commitment from you. But it depends on how willing you are to make this go away and what you're willing to do. So we'll give it our best, and that's all we can do. So, Joe, I'm going to give it over to you.
Okay. I mean, I have a couple of techniques that might help.
Yeah.
Maybe. So you're kind of stuck with listening to gossip all the time, right? And someone's complaining about somebody else. Like, no, seriously, sometimes we talk to another person about stuff going on with another person, right? We talk to someone, one of our friends, about another one of our friends because there's something that's going on and we just got to keep them apprised of it. That happens. It's not necessarily gossip. Sometimes if we're just complaining and da 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 da, and like attacking someone behind their back when they're not around and whatever, like that, it becomes a problem. So there are a couple things you can do to address this. When they start doing it, you can say something along the lines of, "Man, have you talked to them about that?" Because I mean, and I don't use this very often, but like the people that I've surrounded myself with, we don't generally gossip a lot. Most of the people, like if there's an issue that needs to be talked about, a lot of times it's because we're trying to figure out how to present it to the person that we're talking about, or how to navigate this with them included, right? But it's not like we're just bad mouthing and talking about how bad somebody is behind their back, right? We're legitimately trying to find a solution, and it's like, okay, we need to talk to them about it. So that's something you could ask if they're doing it. It's like, man, have you talked to them about it? Maybe we should get them over here so we can explain this to them, and then you can like call them up or something. Let's call them. This is something that's on your mind. Apparently, this is on your mind a lot because you complain about it a lot. So why don't we get them involved? And most of the time, somebody who's if if their motives are to help fix the situation, then they'll probably welcome bringing that person in to address the issue. But a lot of people, let's just be honest, they're not really interested in solving the problem. They're just interested in gossiping or complaining, right? And so they're not going to want the other person involved. It's like, they'll stop you from calling the person, right? It's like, okay, well, and then maybe you have to tell them. Now, I see you say that you've asked them sternly to stop. And apparently that's not getting anywhere. So, like, I don't know, the approaches that I would have to get them to stop would be ways to shock them. And something, you can do to shock them is what I just talked about. Let's bring them in here. Have you explained this to them? Have you talked to them about it? Well, let's talk to them about it, and then call them up. Hey, so-and-so's got this thing they're talking about, blah, 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 whatever. That'll shock them. You want to bring them in. Another thing you can do is just look at them like they're an idiot. Make some weird face, like.
Yeah.
No, you can just look at them. Give them some weird, shocked, strange look and be like, what are you talking about?
I like that. That's pretty good.
Because here's the thing. A lot of times when we're complaining, we get on a rant and we're going, right? And sometimes it takes something to shock us out of the rant, right? So you can do this. You can try weird things. You can change your accent when you respond to them. Talk all Southern or something. I don't know. Do something goofy, do something silly, do something to just throw them off. Or you can just walk away. That's kind of rude. You'd be like, look, I told you not to talk about this anymore. I'm not talking with you about this, so I'm going to leave. See you later. Right? Now, here's the thing. There are possible ramifications to all these. Okay? You might disrupt this friendship that you have with this person who's complaining to you all the time. But if they're doing this all the time, maybe the friendship needs to be disrupted a little bit. Because you don't need them poisoning your mind all the time, right? And I'm not saying don't be their friend, but it's okay to set a boundary with behaviors that you'll accept and will not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it really comes down to setting that boundary. And how do we do that, right? You've talked to them sternly. They're not getting the message. Maybe you got to do something shocking, make a funny face at them, tell them you're going to bring the people in on it, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You can do these things. That might get it to stop. But there are some hard lessons. And here's the thing. Like, I've learned some hard lessons about people that I have around me from time to time. And there are certain behaviors that I just really have trouble with. And so I'll have to set boundaries sometimes. And then if those boundaries get crossed and those things aren't recognized or whatever, or I think one of the big things is, I'll give people like 3 offenses without repentance before I'm just like, nope, I can't have them in my close inner circle, right? Like if they do something that hurts me and I bring it up and we talk about it and they don't apologize, they got 3 chances. And then it's like if they're not even willing to apologize for something they did that hurt me, then what kind of friendship are we creating here? Does that make sense? So sometimes, and these are, man, these can be tough pills to swallow because we really care about these friends that we have, these people that we have in our lives. And sometimes it's out of habit. I remember a really close friend of mine was telling me, yeah, I finally cut someone out of my life that was in my life for 22 years that had just been poisoning my mind with all this stuff. And I finally got rid of them. And it was one of the hardest things to do. Finally, like, cut contact. And it was so hard, but it wasn't hard because of how much I loved the person. Because, of course, I mean, you love the person, but sometimes you got to love somebody from a distance, right? It's okay. We're called to love everybody, but we don't have to like them.
It's true.
And sometimes we have to love people from a distance. And that's okay, right? And so this friend of mine, to preserve her own sanity finally cut this person out of her life after 22 years. And she said it was like a couple months prior. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better that my brain isn't getting poisoned by this person, by what this person talks about. But what happened, it wasn't hard for her to cut out, because like this person wasn't hard to distance because of how much my friend loved this person in her life. Right? That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was that it was a habit. Hanging out with this person was a habit. And associating with this person was a habit. And so habits get entrenched in us and they're hard to break sometimes, right? So that might be the toughest part. You might have a habit, there might already be a habit of you spending time with this person, and then they complain and da-da-da-da-da. And what that does is it, creates a lot of negativity in your mind, and that's not something that you necessarily want. You can talk to them, you can sternly ask them to stop, you can shock them, you do whatever. But if it continues to happen, you might have to set a boundary and change the habit of hanging out with them. You might have to find some other people to hang out with. I know that's tough. I know this is tough talk, right? But life isn't easy. It's, life is hard enough without being poisoned by people's complaints about someone we care about, especially. Poisoned by gossip. It is a worthy boundary to have up. I'm not saying go and wreck all your friendships. I'm not saying go and distance yourself from everybody in your life, but I am saying set boundaries to protect your own mental health. That is okay, and really we should. Because life's too short, and there's too much for us to accomplish, and there's too much for us to deal with and do to get bogged down by a mental health problem created by us not setting a boundary with another person. So I'm sorry if I came off a little too strong, but that's what I got for now. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and he's going to clean everything up for me, because that's how this works. I make a mess by what I say, and then Ryan comes in and cleans it all up and makes it all shiny and new and sparkly, and he smiles, and look at that smile.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
It's such a cute smile. Oh.
I'm gonna clean it up. This is why he's
Rye Babe, right?
I'm Rye Babe. Yeah. Listen to Joe. What he said is correct. There you go. Now it's nice and tidy and clean.
Dang it.
It's true. Yeah.
You're supposed to clean it up.
Honestly, though, yeah. Joe is right. I mean, what they're doing is poison. I mean, what gossip is it's an what's the word? It's the outpouring of envy. And when you're envious, it's like it's stupid. It's so stupid. There's a lot of reasons for envy, but it's like you have valued esteem, whether it's your own or other people's esteem, you value them over the people themselves. You value them over any kind of anything. And so you're willing to, like, if you're envious, you're willing to just take someone down just because you don't like them. And you might not like them for any given reason. And it might not even be like, in literally it's like someone else does something good. All right. The envious person goes, well, now I have to counteract that. I have to make sure that person has a bad image. Like, even though they have no reason to, right? They have no business doing that. They just do that, right? And so why? There's all sorts of different reasons. And it's not necessarily your position, unless you're a psychologist or something, or a therapist or something, to get in there and try to figure out why they're that way. That's right. I am Rye Babe. And so this is some of my recommendation. If this is a person, like you said, you can't remove from your life, then you got to make them contest with reality.
Mm.
Because you can sit there and take the poison and know what they're doing is wrong and tell them to stop and nothing changes. Or you can make it so that they have to be the ones to recognize how awful what they're doing is. Because they don't see as what they're doing as a bad thing.
Mm.
So they're never going to change it. You're going to tell them to stop, and they might say, yeah, I know I shouldn't gossip. They say they know, but do they really want to stop? Apparently the urge to gossip is more important to them than their care for whatever else you might give them, right? I know my mom, what she does is if someone starts to gossip, she just brings up God and starts talking about God. And a lot of times what happens is people stop gossiping. Because suddenly God enters the room, and then people like try to get straight, and they're like, yeah, well, yeah, they're not that bad, sorry for gossiping, whatever. But, some people don't have a respect for that. You can't make people respect that or stop gossiping if that's what they want to do. And so here's the bottom line. I mean, and this is really tough. And Joe's right. Like, it is poison. And so what do? I mean, you can employ some of the tactics Joe's talking about, where you kind of surprise them, or you just lay it out for them and say, like, look, you're twisting my arm here. Like, this is my friend. And you're trying to, like, make me dislike him. You're trying to, like, make it so that whenever I interact with him, I got these weird thoughts in the back of my head that are super unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And it's coming from you, and you know it. Like, and you're twisting my arm here, And what do you want me to do with all this information? Like, you want me to hate my friend. That's what you want. Sorry, but that's not going to happen. Like, my friendship with them is valuable, and my friendship with you is valuable, and nothing you say is going to damage my friendship with them. It shouldn't. And nothing they say should damage my friendship with you. You're two different, you got different actions, and how I'm going to judge you is based on who you are and not what the other person says. So you can stop twisting my arm, And you could say stuff like that and hope that it changes something. But until they contest with the reality of what they're doing, they're never going to stop being envious. Okay, so what do I mean by contest with reality? I mean, they got to want to not do it. They got to realize what they're doing and all that it means. They got to realize that they're poisoned and they want it out of them. That's the reality, and that's the reality they have to contest with. They have to contest with that. They have to recognize they're poisoned, and they have to want to not be poisoned anymore. And so one thing you can do, again, there are different ways you can do this. You can try bringing it up and say, look, like, why do you do this? Why are you attacking this person? Like, why? And they're going to give answers, well, because they're a crappy person, because they did this, they did the other thing, and I got to let you know the truth. And you could be like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I get what you're saying, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm asking you, why is it that you feel the need to tear other people down, tear other people apart? That's a disease. That's something inside of you that wants the pain of others. That's something inside of you that wants others to not flourish. That's something inside of you that when you see someone flourishing, you get upset. You get disgusted. And it makes you want to counteract it. That's what's inside of you. And that's not good. Like, let other people flourish and be happy for them. And let yourself flourish and be happy for yourself. Right, delicious. Thank you. I like that one.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, ridiculous. I thought it said delicious. Bummer. I like mine better, but I can be ridiculous.
Yeah, right, delicious.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Raddelicious in the hood.
Raddelicious.
Raddelicious. I like the Raddelicious. Okay, anyways, ridiculous. I am ridiculous. Anyways, Raddelicious is ridiculous. Okay.
But
So
it's delicious too.
they have to come to a point in their consciousness where they realize that what they're doing is not by any means the ideal. And they have to want the ideal. And some ways that's like I said, my mom just brings up God because God is one of those transforming things. But if the person's not religious, they won't be, right? To give them the beauty of the virtue of what's the word? Compassion. To give them
Maybe.
to give them the virtue of that is like compassion and geez, there's another word for it. Anyways, geez, I can't think of it. One of the 7 heavenly virtues. Doesn't matter.
The one that contests envy.
Yeah, right.
That one.
Yeah, I know
I'm
one.
not sure.
Keep
Keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, please do. One of them is like it depends on who was breaking them down. There's 2 different words I think that usually are brought up. One is compassion, and the other one is I can't think of it. But both of them are important. Anyhow, to give them the ideal and help them want that is probably your best game. Because you can tell them to stop, but it's not going to change their heart. And they'll just go gossip to somebody else, right? And it's like, okay, not my problem anymore, at least. But at the same time, another way for it to not be your problem is for it to not be their own problem anymore, right? And so if you want to play the long game, I'm not saying you have to, it's up to you. If you want to play the long game, teach them the virtue by showing them the virtue with how you live your life.
The virtue is charity, by the way.
Thank you. Be charitable. And by doing that, thank you. Yes, it's exactly it. Charity. Yep. So by being charitable, by concerning yourself with the act of charity, by giving out of your wealth and giving to people for their sake, and and being an example of that in their life, and them seeing the fruits of it, is great. Is great because you can help them move forward in it too. But even more so, after exuding that in your own life, being an example of that in your own life, taking it to the next step where you include them in the conversation about the virtue. Include them in the conversation about trying to get better at it. Include them in the conversation and say, look, like this is a thing and I want to get better at it. And when they can do an examination of self and realize like, hey, wait, this is something I'm not good at. I might be good with some of these other ones. Like, hey, this one's, I'm pretty good with this one. I'm not like greedy or anything, but this one's mine. To allow that to happen, it helps them to start to change because they can themselves recognize that they don't want to be doing that anymore. Because they found there's something way better. They found that there's something way better. Because here's the thing. If you gotta gossip because other people are succeeding, or if you gotta gossip because other people are doing wrong things, you gotta gossip in general, right? It means essentially that you gotta tear people down. And if you could just let everybody be built up, imagine the world we could live in. Imagine how well built the world we would live in if there wasn't gossip. Because if there wasn't envy, right? If there was no envy, society would be way farther ahead right now. Because we wouldn't partake in the act of tearing each other down. We wouldn't actively be trying to sabotage each other's creations, each other's intellect, each other's egos, each other's esteem, each other's whatever it is. And if we stopped actively trying to tear that down for each other and instead put in the effort to build each other up, if we took all the effort that we do for, envy, for gossip, and we spent all of that effort and time on building each other up so that we could be better people, stronger people, have more successful careers, have more successful family lives, have more successful friendships, whatever, everything. Imagine where we'd be. It'd be incredible. It would be absolutely amazing. We'd be literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years into the future right now with like technology, with good, like literally like maybe good economy, like so much would change. It would be like way better. It would be insanely good. Okay, this world. It'd be happy. It'd be great. It'd be incredible. Imagine. And then you infuse that in them. You infuse that ideal into them. You'd be like, it could be so stinking amazing if we didn't have this stupid thing called envy. And then let them turn their lives around and let them stop and then come to like charity and like lifting people up instead of trying to knock people down, and then watch that transformation, and it would be incredible. And that's possible. I don't think that's impossible. I can't do that. I can't change them. It's like, yeah, you can. You don't give yourself enough credit if you don't think you can, because you can. Maybe, you know what? There are some people you can't. That is true. Some people are too prideful. Some people, they recognize they're evil and they want it. That's true. That's true, But if you try, if you at least try, you'll at least improve one of the two of you. And you know which one that is, and that's you. And if you try, not only will you at least improve one of you, sometime in the future, might be 10 years down the line, they might finally start picking up those nuggets you've been leaving behind. And those seeds might actually take root and start growing on them. And they'll be like 10 years down the line, starting their journey on something that you said. And I've seen that happen. That really happens. So, if that's something you're interested in doing, I implore you, inspire in them the desire for goodness and for like productivity and for like charity and compassion, and inspire in them the ideal so that they hold themselves accountable for not holding up the ideal, so that they can look at themselves and not want what they're currently doing. Like they're gossiping and they're like, wait, that feels disgusting to me, because I am now in contention with not only myself and what I think is good, I'm in contention with the reality that I'm tearing down society and I'm the problem. And it's like, whoa, that's a mighty thing to feel. And it's, you get them there, and all you have to do is plant a few seeds, get them interested. That you get them there, you'll see the change, and that's going to be amazing. And they'll be the kind of person that if they fight that off and win, they'll be one of the most charitable people to ever live. Like, really. People's weaknesses, oftentimes, if they conquered them, if they're made clear to them and they conquer them, and it's hard work, but they do it, and it's something that they contest with like throughout the rest of their life, but they continue to contest with it and win, at least on a like 75% chance basis, they also end up being like the most charitable people ever to live. Even though they're constantly fighting this. And it's because they're constantly fighting this battle that they're trying so hard to win on the other side that makes them so stinking charitable. And so stinking like conscious of their compassion for others and wanting others to succeed and win. And so that could be huge for them. That could be a big deal for them and for everybody. And so I'm not trying to play this up. That's true. And don't play it down. It's true. So like that's what it is. And now you know. And they don't know yet. They don't know how good they can become. They don't know how good it's going to be. if they conquer this. It's going to be amazing. They're going to be a legend. But they'll only be that if they learn and they contest with it and they decide they want to win. And so that's up to them. And I mean, you can feel free to just like, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I brought you up in a Don't Worry Wednesday. I know you don't know what that is, but like, listen to this and listen to these guys talk. If you want. If you don't want to do that because it's definitely insulting, that's fine. But I want you to let them know what they could become. And that what they could become is one of the most amazing people to have ever walked the planet. Sincerely. And so I don't know how to make them realize that. But all you can do is talk and try, communicate, show it, be an example, and lead them down that line. Now, again, that's the long road, and that's something you can begin effectively immediately, right? Just by pursuing that yourself, and that will hopefully have some influence and maybe cast some seeds out for the future for them. And that's not going to be something that you'll even have to concentrate on making yourself giving them hours of your life, say. Won't even necessarily take that from you to just do that part. So I encourage you to help them become someone better, because they could be. Don't look down on them just because they got this problem. You got yours. I've got mine. Joe's got his. Darkwing's got there. Baka's got there. August got some too. No, I'm just kidding. August's pretty perfect. But Sally's awesome.
We all got issues.
We've all got our issues. We got our things to conquer. And so
yeah,
don't look down on them just because they've got this issue. Look at them and go, wow, it'd be incredible. It'd be so incredible. Let me teach you. And then run with it, because you're going to be better than I can teach you. Because you're the one that's struggling with it. I can teach you. I can teach you.
Because my boyfriend,
yeah.
my milkshake brings
all the boys to the yard, and they're like,
and I could teach you.
And I could teach you, but I'd have to charge. So, but anyhow, I have issues. Saule, don't even. No, you don't. Come on, man. So anyways,
Saule's got issues. You got issues too.
Yeah,
so do I.
Fine. We all got issues, man.
I got issues. You know what? I'm divorced. That's an issue. Ryan's married. That's an issue. Like I guarantee Ryan's got marriage issues.
Nah,
he's married.
She's pretty perfect. I guess there's
when you're married, you got married issues,
true,
right?
That's true. So yeah, and it is true, and it's something it's like you learn to get better at, and you got the ideal, so run for that. That I know I took a long time to say that, but I wanted to say it the most empowering way that I could, because like, don't look down on them, because they are the problem, but don't look down on them. They can be so much.
Well, and here's the thing. It's not them that's the problem.
Right. It's sin that's the problem.
It's the sin of envy that's the problem.
It's the demons. It's that's all that. But
it's not them. They're choosing to entertain this envy in their life that's causing them to take this action, right?
That is true.
So, but they may not be aware of the choice.
Right. That's quite likely. They're not. They're very likely not aware that they have an envy problem at all. So that's why it's important for them to realize and go like, I need to work on this. And they need to know that they can be so much, because they can. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's what I got. Joe,
that was beautiful. And I think I like that. Oh, thank you. It's the beard.
I know it's really grown on me. Oh, actually, it's grown on you. I like it.
It's grown on me.
Yeah.
I sent a picture of. I had a picture of me in a gas mask, because I've been wearing a gas mask.
Oh, right.
All the time, right? And I sent it I sent it to Riku, and Riku was like, "Who is this man? Like with the hair and all this kind of stuff." It like freaked her out. It's funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Wait, you're trying to get better at having marriage issues, but it's hard.
That's right. We're doing our best, but our virtues keep getting in the way. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, you know what? Here's the thing. I went to confession today,
That's good.
and
Proud of you.
I love what you said, Ryan, about like it's not them that's the problem. You can have some compassion with this person, right? So anonymous, it's like you said at the end. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. There is a different way you can look at this, right?
Mm,
Because it's annoying and it's a problem and it raises your blood pressure, makes you upset and all this kind of stuff to hear this
true.
person complaining all the time. You try and tell them to stop. It's frustrating, right? But like what Ryan was talking about, if you can have compassion for that person because they're suffering from this, this sin in their life, right? This sin
Hmm.
of envy,
And they
one of
don't
the
even
deadly
probably know that
sins.
they have it.
They don't even exactly. They don't even know it. See, I went to confession today, and one of the things about confession is that they talk about your sins are not who you are. That's why we go to confession, to separate us from those sins that we've committed, right? Or those things that we do, or those habits of thought that we have, or whatever, right? We go there to recognize, first of all, that this is not me. I do not identify as this sin or this thing that's going on, right? It's not who I am. Who I am is separate from that. And when I go to confession, what it is I'm separating that out and getting that, absolved, removed. So then, I'm kind of like, then I can get on a better path, hopefully, right? So what you can do when you think about this person, you can think, "Oh my gosh, they're suffering from this envy. That's got to be a really tough spot to be in." And so they're
Hmm.
really struggling, and you can have this this feeling of compassion and charity for them. You have issues of manga to read? Oh, a lot of issues, like back issues.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of issues.
Issues of journals. Yes. All
Hmm.
right. Um, so yeah. But yeah, you can look at this person with a compassionate eye and you can love them, but you still don't have to tolerate the behavior. So here's the thing. You could almost look at them in a little bit of a condescending way. I wouldn't recommend it because then our view of them gets a little bit skewed. But if it makes you feel a little bit better, you can picture yourself patting them on the head. Oh, you're so cute. Like, like, oh, one of these days you're going to grow through this, right? It's one of those things where, being a parent gives me this perspective too, because I have kids and they're growing through stuff. And I remember being their age and I remember thinking the way they thought. And I remember like having the level of understanding that they have. And so I don't treat them as though they have the same life experience as me,
Hmm.
right? I try to remember all the time, oh, you know what? They're a kid. And so, like, they have a limited life experience and they have this emotional reaction and they have whatever going on. And it's like, okay, so my job as a parent is to be understanding and listen to them and love them. Try and make sure that they feel loved and accepted, regardless of how this is. But then, as things go on, I can insert guiding principles mostly by example. I don't try and teach on high, like I'm the all wise and all knowing person, right?
Hmm.
No, I try to show them by example, if I can, the proper, like the better way to handle that,
Hmm.
right? Because, like, let's just be honest, like I didn't listen to my parents very much all the time. I didn't listen to my teachers all the time. Like I'm just like, okay, but I was always watching what they did. Right? Just like the saying, what you do speaks so loud, what you say I cannot hear.
Mm.
Is that the thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Ryan hit the nail on the head. You can show them an example of being charitable toward them. Right? But it still might be fun to do some shocking stuff. And sometimes you do have to take corrective measures. But even still, all this stuff, I mean, like if you can help them stop the behavior, it's going to be best for them. For you, if you can look at them as, oh, they just don't know any better. Oh my God, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I can help them get better, right? But you still don't have to tolerate them poisoning your mind. And you might have to say, look, I appreciate that, you want to say these things, but like, man, I need you to stop doing that. And you might even have to say, look, man, I can't hang out with you all the time if this is all you're going to do. Because sometimes we do have to set that boundary and we have to be vigilant about that boundary. But we can do it in a loving way. We don't have to be a jerk about it, You can even grab them by their cheek, be like, oh, you're so cute. But stop it. They start gossiping about something. They just, oh, you're so cute. Stop it. But anyway, whatever. I mean, that's pretty much what I have. You don't have to tolerate it, but you can change your perspective and you can look at them differently and have charity with them while setting a boundary. And here's the other thing. You're probably not going to do this perfectly, so be patient with yourself. Have some grace with yourself. We've given you a lot of information here. You're probably not going to apply it all 100% perfectly right off the get-go. And even if you do, it might still not have the effect that you're looking for. Because, they're a person with free will of their own and, they can choose whatever they want to do. You can't control them. So it's okay to have a little bit of patience, a little bit of grace, a little bit of forgiveness for yourself as well as for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also appropriate to set a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also appropriate to love them, even if you have to love them from a distance. And that's all I have to say about that.
Perfect. Brilliant. Brilliant.
You're brilliant.
Thank you. You're
Wattstein.
I think I'm brilliant. Oh, Wattstein's not my last name. I think you're thinking the wrong guy.
Oh.
I do have a German last name, but it's not a Stein, unfortunately.
Oh. Schwaldenstein.
Yeah, Schivold. That's right. No, it's actually not pronounced that way, but that's fine. Zeibald.
Zeibald?
Yeah.
Zeibald?
That's right.
Ah.
Yeah. Instein. No, there isn't. There is no. I just want it, because it doesn't. It really sounds more German if you put a Stein at the end.
Well, that sounds. You know what? That sounds. I'm gonna say that. What did you say? Zeibald?
Mm-hmm. Zeibald.
Zeivold.
Yeah. You say it with a better German accent than I do. Yeah.
Zeivold Industries.
Yeah.
Like, because I see all these
yes.
things addressed to.
Oh yes, that's right.
To Zeivold Industries,
Yes. Because my dad's equipment, you guys are using his equipment from.
Yep.
Yeah,
and so there's
back
all these parts and all this stuff that are still in the boxes that they were shipped in or stored in those boxes and they're still addressed, as Zeivold Industries. I'm like,
yes.
Oh, it's like we're continuing this legacy,
That's right.
We changed the name though.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I like the new changed name. It's more attractive, I think. I think it'll bring customers in. I
like our name and I like our logo.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really going to like our shop when it's finished being put together.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited for you guys. That's so cool. Even though it's going to be a lot of hard work. Yeah. Zeivold. Oh my gosh, I can't even say it in a German accent, so whatever.
You have to just say it louder. Seifert!
Yeah, Seifert! Industries. That's
If you
right.
say it extra loud, you automatically sound German. I
Das
think.
ist gut.
I don't have a German expert with us today.
Oh yeah. I once listened to one. They said, "Put your jaw forward as you speak."
Put your jaw forward.
Yeah, so yeah, and that
And
gives
you do this.
more German accent. But I always
and
forget
it
that
also
part.
makes you feel a little bit more oomphy.
Yeah, it gives you power. That's why they do it. That's why
so
the
you
Germans.
say everything with more power. With
Yes.
more power.
That's right. Today is the day.
Today's the day.
That's right. Yeah. So now that we've slandered the German accent, thank you for joining us on Don't Worry Wednesday. I sincerely hope that the last topic that we covered it and it is done justice for you and for the person whom you're having some issue with. I hope that both of you can move forward in this and that life gets better. I think that'd be great. So thank you for sharing your concern with us. Thank you for sharing your issue. And I hope that it was worth it to you from what we covered and
Thank you,
our
Anonymous.
perspectives. Yeah, thank you sincerely. If anybody else has a topic they'd like us to cover, we'd really appreciate that. And you can do exactly as Sawale left us with. Go to don'tworrywednesday.com. The link is like literally right up there. You can probably in the chat box for you guys. So
it's right there in the chat. It says don'tworrywednesday.com.
Yep, you can click that link, or you can scroll up and click the link.
You can click it. I'm gonna click it right now and see what happens. Let's see
Oh.
what happens when I click the link.
Uh-oh.
It goes to don'tworrywednesday.com.
Oh my gosh, that's oh no. That's
and it says "Don't worry Wednesday," even if it's Thursday. And it says there's a big purple button right in the middle that says "Submit a topic." What happens when I click that?
Cool.
A little form comes out.
Oh wow.
Hey, ask a question on Don't Worry Wednesday.
Wow.
I'm beta testing this for you guys. Okay.
You guys, if you guys want to beta test yourself, this new improved equipment that hasn't changed at all.
Yes.
Feel free to beta test your, but come with real concerns.
Yep. Name optional. What is my optional name?
We actually have 2 submitted topics that are from Anonymous.
I only know my actual name. What's my optional name?
Your optional name?
Well, yeah, because it says name and then it says optional in parentheses.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, your optional
I have
name.
a name that's optional.
Yeah, that's Joe.
No, that's my actual name. Not
no,
my
your actual name is
name.
Joseph. Your optional name is Joe. Okay. We can call you by either, right?
Yeah.
We have the option.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, yeah, we're.
Oh, I just click. And here's the thing that happens. If you click on the page outside of that box, the box goes away.
And if you open it back up, does it fix?
If I open it back up,
is it still loaded with your answers?
Back. Oh, I didn't have. Let me type something in here. And I close it by accident.
Okay.
That time I did it on purpose, as if it was an accident.
Okay, then
open it again. It's still there.
Boom, boom. Wow. Technology.
It saved the nonsense that I wrote because I just typed a bunch of letters.
Nice. Guys, I'm going to leave you.
It says,
that is so true, though. Isn't it? Isn't it always true?
Truth. Don't Worry Wednesday. Right here.
Preach, brother.
We love you.
That's right, because we love you. That's why we do it. I'm going to leave the rest of the testing for you guys. You guys can experiment with all the options yourself. But feel free to post some topics for us. We do have 2, so thank you guys, whoever the anonymi are who have posted these 2. Appreciate it so much. You guys are awesome, and probably get to these next Wednesday. I do have an unfortunate announcement. Yep, that's right.
Unfortunate. It's next Wednesday.
Yeah, a disfortunate. Because it's not unfortunate, it's just disfortunate. You calculate
What's
that
the
out.
Difference?
One's not a word. That's one difference. Disfortune. Disfortune it means that it's less fortunate, I guess. Less fortunate. But it's also more fortunate, so it's disproportional. It's because it could be more fortunate because you don't know. So next week, I'm not going to be here for Don't Worry Wednesday. You might get someone who's going to give you way better advice than I would have given. So it might be more fortunate. So it's just going to be disproportional amount of fortune that it's not the same amount of fortune. So that's all I can promise. So it's disfortunate.
We're going to do something. We'll have something.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll be on with either one person or a group of people.
Oh.
Or with myself.
Well, at least that's true That's going to be true. If you're on, then you're on with yourself.
I'll be on.
As well as maybe other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well.
So here I am. See, now I'm in the chat, right? And so like I click on your name in the chat and I can put you in timeout.
You should.
I should. Maybe I just will. But not today.
That's the obvious.
I'll do it so that time and I'll not tell you, and then all of a sudden, like, you won't be
why can't
in the chat.
You're just gonna hear me pounding on the keyboard, like, what's wrong, Ryan? I'm like, I thought I was having internet connection issues or something. Brilliant. Yes. Wow, awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here this Don't Worry Wednesday with us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all the help you guys have given in the topics, and the help that you give to others. And you guys are this is such an amazing place. This little Don't Worry Wednesday community, such an amazing place to be a part of your guys' experience and lives in a little way, because we know you guys are going to go on to do amazing things with your life, help give to so many people, and that's really awesome that we got to participate in any way in that life of yours. So we're honored that you're in our midst, and we are hoping that you have an awesome rest of your week, and to see you next Wednesday.
Yes, it'll be good. Although you won't see them.
That's right. Well, I will be in the air, so I definitely won't see you. Yeah, I'll be miles high.
We still got to figure out how to connect you into the Wi-Fi of the plane so we can still stream.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah,
that's probably about how it would be.
It's on. And there you can figure it out yourself. But that's how it just... It's gonna be like that, and that's not gonna be useful for anybody.
It'll be great. It'll be very entertaining.
That is not going to be useful for anybody. So hopefully, we don't figure that out. We'll just let you find somebody else.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. Anyways, love you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Yes, and we love you.
Yeah. See you guys next Wednesday. Bye all.
Bye.